So just got back from seeing the Odyssey. I will admit, when I first found out that Nolan was doing an adaptation of the Odyssey, didn't really see the point. Uh, I think my first thought was like, do we need this? I went and saw digital IMAX because real IMAX was not available to me. I'm probably gonna go see it again. It was really good. I felt transported. There's gonna be spoilers. I don't see how you can talk about it without being spoilers, but at the same time, like, can we really spoil the Odyssey? Uh, Zendaya was perfectly cast as Athena. She is beautiful. She is regal. I guess it's the reality. She has this thing where she commands presence. She honestly didn't say too much. A lot of her acting was just her looks and just her presence, her body language. There was an interesting twist with her character, and she has the ability to seem powerful and like she could be cruel while the character is being kind. There was a very tender moment between her and can't remember Ulysses' his name right now, Matt Damon. There was a really tender moment between her and Matt Damon that I had heard some kind of mention of. I think it was on NPR that I heard somebody mention it, and I thought that I thought it was an intimate scene because they were just talking about the power of the scene. It's not. It's just a moment of connection, and I don't want to spoil that part because it's kind of the heart of the movie in a way. His relationship to Athena, and Athena is urging him on, and he keeps questioning her as kind of a stand-in for the gods, and she keeps responding to his questions, and it's different than how we in modernity think about metaphysical, supernatural entities, but it really it connected kind of the religions of the past to us and our struggle for purpose and place in the universe. I thought really well. I really enjoyed her character's inclusion and I don't want to say character arc because it wasn't exactly a character arc, but just what she was doing, what her character was doing, the purpose of her being in the movie was really powerful. And Hathaway was great. Oh god, she has a great movie. It was in one of the trailers. She has this great moment where she yells at Tom Holland that she wants Odysseus. I mean, I believed her. I believed she was a woman who'd been waiting, what was it, 20 years ultimately, I think, for her dude to come back. Tom Holland was great. He was very well cast. He was believable as this guy who is basically a man, but he is just missing a few pieces. I have been where his character is at before, where I felt like I am this age and I should be able to do X, Y, and Z. In his case, he should be able to like basically command authority and take the throne and kick these people who are harassing his mother, the queen, out of their palace. But he just can't do it. He just can't do it. He can't quite grab the authority that should be his, that he's old enough to have. There's just, I think this happens for a lot of men. There's a lot that it doesn't happen for. One of my best friends is this guy who just kind of grew into this very large body, and people just see him and they just like assign him all this power. But Tom Holland is shorter and slimmer, and I mean, he's obviously in very good shape, but in this movie he's kind of basically a little guy, and we have scenes of him practicing his combat training, and he's not that good at combat, and he's supposed to be a king of these Greek peoples. Like, it's very believable, his struggles. And Robert Pattinson's character is one of the big antagonists to him, the main one that we get to see as this kind of proxy villain for all the other suitors who are trying to convince his mother to marry them so they can take the throne. I mean, he's great. He's great. You can't stand him. You just want to punch him in the face. He actually even looked, and I don't know if this was a makeup thing or if this is just like the way he was like holding his head or being broody or something. He actually looked different in a sinister way. He played a coward quite well. Corey Hawkins was in it a lot. I mean, he's a great actor, but I wasn't expecting him to be in it that much. Lupita was phenomenal. I didn't. Again, I haven't read the source material in a while, so I didn't know the characters were twins. Maybe that's a thing Nolan changed. Probably not. So we get to see her in two very different characters. That was fun. John Berthamall, whatever his last name is, the guy that plays Punisher, he's in it, and he and Tom Holland are friends. They helped each other with their interviews for their Marvel superheroes, so he helped Tom do his interview of Spider-Man and actually encouraged him to do the backflips and some of the practical stuff that Tom could do. And then Tom helped him film his Punisher interview, or maybe they did it in person. I don't actually know if they filmed it or did it in person. But they have interesting on-screen chemistry. They obviously are like familiar with each other, but John did a good job of making it feel like, oh, I like you because I liked your father. I don't actually know you, and I know I don't know you. There was a guy that I recognized from Remember the Titans, Ryan Hurst. He was in it. He did a good job. He's supposed to be Kratos in the God of War thing, that whoever's doing that is doing that. It feels like Amazon. Is that Amazon? But I think he got hurt. I think they're recasting him now, so that sucks because he was he's believable as this like rough. He had like this beard and his hair was all back in this bun thing. I can't even do. Mine does not look as intimidating as his. I was transported. Those 3 hours flew by. I didn't want to leave. I wanted more. I wanted another couple of hours of it. There's a lot of... Matt Damon does a very good job of playing the tortured version of Ulysses that we get in this. And I would have liked more of that. I would have liked more of his conversations with Athena. I would have liked more of his conversations with Calypso. And there was just obviously... It was really well edited. It was really well cut. But there were obviously moments where it was like, we're doing so much interpersonal acting to get through the fact that we don't actually have the runtime we need to have these characters really just crash into each other. And maybe it would have been exhausting if those scenes had been there. There are so many violent scenes, there's so many visceral scenes emotionally, not even from violence, just from conversation. Maybe it just would have been too draining to sit through, and maybe I would regret it if I got the thing that I'm asking for. Oh, the siren scene. I hadn't even thought about the siren scene because I saw it memed because it took me so long to go see it. I had seen it memed, and then I saw it, and it's like, I get why people are memeing it, but it's heartbreaking, and it's a what's in the box scene. In Pulp Fiction, everybody wants to know what's inside the briefcase, and you don't get to hear the siren song, just like all of his men didn't, except for the ones that took the wax out of the ear and jumped over and died. And it was really well done. The sirens were actually not... I was expecting this big scene, but Nolan just kind of like glosses over it. They stay ephemeral. Which I kind of like, actually. I mean, I was excited for Christopher Nolan's take on sirens, but this is kind of better because they get to stay these mythological things in the back of my mind. Because whatever his take would have been, it would have been redefining for me, and so you just kind of get to keep the sirens as whatever you're already thinking of them as. There's a forest where the trees move, which I really loved how he did that. It's at first you don't see the trees moving, and then the trees are just very actively, obviously moving. It was a great special effect. I have no clue. I have no clue how they did that. Which is another thing. Normally, when I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking about like, oh, this is probably how they shot this. This is how they shot that. This is really technically impressive. I just lost all sight of that, and I was just, those trees are moving, and it looks epic. Um, there were, I'm gonna call them giants because I don't know what else you call. I mean, they were 9, 10, 11 feet tall. I don't know. I don't know exactly how tall they were, but they were huge. And they were just brutal, and watching them just completely take out Ulysses's men and trees. It was, I mean, it was terrifying. It really, reinforced the idea that in this time, if you're a big enough guy, the power of your size is what's important. Cersei was disturbing. I don't have anything to say about that. Just Cersei was disturbing. I kept thinking about Dark Souls and Zelda while I was watching it, and the giants could fit easily in more Dark Souls. It had more kind of that vibe, but it could easily fit in like some of the Zelda games. Cersei was hardcore. This is Dark Souls witch. I mean, this wouldn't be something that would be in the game. This would be something you'd hear about and like have to piece together narratively that like, oh, this is what this witch did. This is how horrifying it was. You wouldn't actually get told that information because it's too disturbing. The forest was, I mean, that also could be Dark Souls, but the forest is I mean, that is what the Forbidden Forest is, right? The Forbidden Forest is a maze that you go into that keeps changing and moving around. That's a moving forest. Like, it's 1-to-1. And the music was reinforcing this kind of video game thing that I kept feeling and thinking about. It was reinforcing the Dark Souls theme especially, but it was really reinforcing the Zelda theme. I don't know what the musical instrument is, but there were several notes that came up. I think they came up for the fight against the Armored Giants, and I know they came up several times when Ulysses was looking at something, but it sounded like something from particularly the Ocarina of Time or Skyward Sword, and I didn't think it was Hans Zimmer, and I was like, who is this? And then you get to the end, and Ludwig Göransson's name's up there. So, he's set now. He worked with Ryan Coogler. He's worked with Nolan. The first thing I think of when I think about the Odyssey is not even the Trojan horse. I think about the Cyclops in the cave. I think I must have read that as a child at some point, like that section of the story, and that must have been the first introduction to the Odyssey for me, because I always think about that story. And there were a lot of things that Nolan did, like with the horse. A character talks about how they had to, use the bathroom inside the horse for 2 days while they waited to be dragged into the city, and the reality of the violence of being inside this thing and like trying to be quiet, and they've got the horse on the side and they're pulling it, and all these guys are like hanging onto the walls and each other for dear life. He did the same thing with the Cyclops. And the Cyclops, in my mind, that's not terrifying because I've got this like cartoon, view of basically a very, impossibly large skyscraper guy with, a bad cartoon beard and, one eye in the middle. The Cyclops was horrifying. The Cyclops looked like a Dark Souls Cyclops boss. Like, Cyclops looked like the giant bosses that you fight in Dark Souls 2. Not 1-to-1, but the feeling that you get from seeing those, the distance between those in a humanoid form. There was definitely some of that going on. I loved it. I mean, it's terrifying, but I loved it. There was this not eldritch, but just this supernatural, I believe a god, this entity of some kind of beyond human imagining and ability fathered this thing. I believed that about that hideous monstrosity, and he just does not care about the humans. They're nothing to him. After they blind him, he starts talking, and one of Ulysses's men says, "Why didn't he talk to us before?" And my Damon's just like, "Do you talk to ants?"